Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning to all of you and welcome in Brussels. Welcome at the LaMiLo final conference. The future of last mile logistics, that is what we're going to talk about here today. We will present you with the results of the project and the pilots that partners have been working on, and I think I may say that the results deserve to be seen. Cities and local administrations have become much more aware of problems like congestion and pollution and how they affect logistics efficiency in their centers. And that is why last mile logistics need to be radically changed, and the LaMiLo project partners are trying to bring this change about. So I think, and I hope this will also be a little bit of a celebration of the ending of this project. Please have a look in the exhibition room on the other side of this floor at the case study of all of the 4 pilots on the walls. There is, during the lunch break, also going to be a Smart City Logistics interactive demo made by LIST, the Luxembourg Institute of Science and Technology. And at lunchtime, there will be round tables organized by the 4 pilots of the LaMiLo project. Actually, I think the round tables will look more like high tables, but anyway, anyone who wishes to join can do so during lunch. On the side screen, we have a live Twitter feed throughout the day, so I would like to encourage you to tweet something about the conference. The hashtag is LaMiLo15, and there's free Wi-Fi available for all of you. Just look for the Ton Hotel network, and then the conference password is LaMiLo, and it's not capital sensitive. There are no fire alarms planned, so if there should be any fire alarm, it's a real one, okay? And please sign up and sign your name on the paper over there if you haven't done so yet when you're in the room. One last practical thing, the conference will be video recorded. The video will be available later on the LaMiLo website, so please, if you should not want to be filmed, raise your hand now. We will take that into account, or you can talk later, or if you have any other question, you can address it to Tara Vernhus, who is there of the Institute of Sustainability, Lali Virdee here, or Anna Pon, who's there also somewhere, I think, in the next room. Okay, what exactly are we going to do today? First, we'll have a keynote speech from Astrid Schlewing from DG Move. Lali Virdee from the Institute for Sustainability will then give us an overview of the LaMiLo project, and we will have a short look at the different pilots. And after that, we will talk about several aspects of the project in different sessions. The necessity of behavior change, to start with, sustainability, financial, environmental, and social, private and public perspectives, and the future, what's next for last mile logistics. But first, let's stick to this morning with an introduction by Astrid Schlewing from DG Move. She's the head of sector logistics, and DG Move aims to promote efficient, secure, safe and sustainable mobility. And she will give an overview of the situation in Europe and the challenges faced by European cities. And I hope she will be also pleased with the work that has been done within the LaMiLo project. Astrid Schlewing.
Okay. Thank you very much. And does it work? Yeah. And good morning, everybody. Well, as I was introduced, my name is Astrid Schlewing. I'm not the person who was in the program. Actually, was asked yesterday on short notice to replace, so apologize if not the presentation is not going as smooth as maybe it should be. What I will try to do today is to give a short overview of DG Move policy on logistics, but specifically on urban mobility policy and urban logistics. As you're probably all aware, the new Commission has set 10 priority policy objectives for the next 5 years, of which we think that particularly 5, the new boost for jobs, growth and investment, the connected digital single market, resilient energy union, deeper fair internal market, and also acting as a stronger global actor, maybe not that relevant for urban logistics, actually very, very relevant to the logistics policy and to the setting of logistics conditions in general. In principle, we think that logistics is a task for industry. In urban logistics, We have also the issue of subsidiarity, so it's an issue for the municipalities. But nevertheless, we also think that it needs right framework conditions to operate in, and that the European Commission can help in setting those framework conditions. We also think that transport logistics is an issue which requires an integrated policy across different modes of transport, but often also across different sectors, across different communities of stakeholders. And it requires a system perspective where urban logistics or urban mobility is definitely a part of it. So it's really the integration for us from the long distance freight transport flows and the last mile delivery. And this has been substantiated basically after a couple of other initiatives before by the urban mobility package in 2013. I don't think I need to read through the points. I'm convinced you're more aware of that than I am. The urban mobility package, nevertheless, has been based on the white paper of 2011, where basically two specific goals have been set for urban mobility and urban logistics. One is to replace conventionally fueled cars by 2050 and to halve it by 2030, and also to come to zero-emission city logistics by 2030. For that, we have done a number of initiatives, and I will come back to that. So we have different instruments in place to support these objectives. Those instruments range partly from a legal framework, like the Clean Vehicle Directive, and maybe a bit less in relation to legal framework, since we have the subsidiarity issue, to support by basically research and innovation, creating the right governance framework, but also very much about creating and sharing best practices and consensus building. And we also think that in some areas we need standards and maybe also some implementation support under other programs of the Commission. I would like to come now a bit to some examples of what I have just said. So what are the policy tools we have at our disposal in the urban mobility and transport portfolio? It ranges, as I just said, from a legal dimension, so as regards CO2 emissions for vans or heavy-duty vehicles and cars, or light-duty vehicles, air quality, alternative fuel infrastructures, where the member states and the industry are requested or required, but also, as I mentioned already, to providing financial support basically via research programs, as we had it in the past with the Civitas program, or now in the context of the Horizon 2020. So supporting innovative measures at all levels, meaning EU, national, regional, and particularly the local level also. And that's throughout Europe, and creating also some best practice and leading best practice by having some leading city authorities or municipalities taking the lead in these activities. So far, the main focus has been on reducing the impacts of urban mobility. For the future, we think we had a lot of initiatives and we had a lot of support given to cities. We have some lead cities, but I think it's also time to further spread the results achieved and the best practice, and also together and bring together more cities involved into the setting up of urban mobility plans and so forth. So the future, we think, should lie more on the accessibility and affordability and competitiveness and resource efficiency, but also linking different policies together. I don't think I have to say too much. I mean, another legal, not really legal, but maybe establishing some kind of governance framework is the mobility package, in particular there the annex on the sustainable urban mobility plans. I'm not going to read to that. I think you're very aware of what this is all about. Basically to balance out better modes, to encourage shift towards more sustainable modes, and to provide for a set of technical infrastructure soft policy measures. And it addresses a range of different topics, but as I said, I think you're very aware. But this is something which is going to be updated by my colleagues in 2016. We continue with giving support via the Research and Innovation Framework Program, the Horizon 2020. So in 2014, as a result of the, I think the first call, I'm not completely mistaken, it's, there are three new projects now being implemented, ranging from developing simulation tools for the quantification of impact of logistics sharing, development of new business models, impact assessment, how to integrate better freight transport, as I said in the beginning, the long term into the last mile and into the strategic urban planning also. And there are a number of cities also involved into that. Actually, another initiative I would like to report briefly upon, because we think when you try to better integrate the long distance with the last mile freight transport, ICT, information communication technologies, also play an important role. So actually we are setting up a new forum which is called the Digital Transport and Logistics Forum, which will focus on bringing together all stakeholders, hopefully from all modes, from different communities, meaning the shippers, transport operators, the service logistics providers, the public authorities, in order to create consensus, to discuss where EU action is needed in terms of further digitalization of the transport and logistics sector, to come forward with recommendations and possibly also with solutions, and also to look into the possible implementation of those solutions. Contents-wise, this means what we would like to look into is basically standardization, how to exchange information, so data exchange infrastructures. We would like to look, maybe this is more relevant for the freight transport logistics as such, into the acceptance of electronic documents, and also in how to create a protected environment, particularly in freight transport logistics. We have the issue of commercial sensitiveness. So this may be more related to the long distance, but I think that there are also issues which we need to look into when better linking the long distance freight transport chain with the last mile delivery. And the forum is brand new. Commission decision was recently done, and we will have the first plenary next week. And we will continue then for 3 years in working groups and aiming at coming forward with some substantial, tangible results, actually. The outlook. Did you move things that we have done and achieved quite a lot in terms of giving support to large-scale EU-funded RTD projects? There have been achievements done at, as I said, European, national, regional level, but we also think there is more to be done. We need to convey the message, we need to convey the results, we need to bring more people. It's important to look really into change management. Urban logistics, mobility has a lot to do with change management and behavioral change. We intend to further support cooperations and convergence. We will continue to bring together different set of stakeholders in trying to create consensus and to get everybody around the table in order to better integrate or to better develop the sustainable mobility plans. New ways of collaboration emerge, and how can the EU also support this further in the future? And I think that in this context also projects like LaMiLo, I still have problems, can also contribute quite a lot to the discussion. So we are very interested to look a bit further or deeper also into the results of the project. Unfortunately, I cannot stay very long today, so I will not be able, but I promise we will have a deeper look and see how we can also benefit from this particular project. That's what I had to say. So thank you very much for your attention, and have an interesting day and a fruitful discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Schlewing, for this introduction, and thank you for being here. And now that we've seen what the challenges are for city logistics and logistics in general, and the priorities and the tools that were set in place by DG Move, Lali Virdee will now give us more context on the LaMiLo project, its background and objectives. Of course, Lali Virdee is head of programs with the Institute for Sustainability, the lead partner.
Okay, yeah, I'm on. Right, thank you very much to Astrid for standing in at short notice and that was very interesting. Okay, so yeah, as Wim says, I'll give you a bit of an overview about what the whole project is, and really a little bit of a contextual view across how strategically things like LaMiLo actually fit into our widest community aspirations. So LaMiLo, just as a simple thing, 11 partners across a number of countries and some absolutely excellent pilots that we've created, 4 officially out of the project, but certainly Birgit's got more than one of those, and she'll talk about those a little bit later on. Well, actually, I'm not really going to do a project overview because I think I just wanted to throw Wim off a little bit there. But I think it's very much about trying to understand how projects like LaMiLo and some of the very interesting work that's arisen from it is really important, not just for the last mile logistics factor, but also why it's important for the overall community. Why is it beneficial? What are the things that it does? And how does it actually fit into the more sort of strategic and more global initiatives that are going on around the world at the moment? We all know and talk about the circular economy. We have a good knowledge about it. And I think to an extent we also think that the circular economy agenda has grown over the last few years. The Ellen MacArthur Foundation has done a lot of work in trying to promote the effectiveness of the circular economy. And, you know, in a way it is, as they put it, it's a model to try and set out how you can actually create an effective economic development scenario across a whole community, across a city, and in their aspiration across the whole world. But to do that, you have to start somewhere. And some of the things that we've done here in LaMiLo begin to actually help with that modeling aspiration. Small, but I think it's a very important piece of the jigsaw. And I think, as Howard was saying earlier on this morning to someone in the tea room, that all of these little pieces of the jigsaw, no matter how big or small, all make up the grander picture. And I think that's the thing that we need to remember, that's what we're all working towards. And part of what LaMiLo does is trying to aspire to the green logistics. And sometimes we use the word green logistics in a slightly sort of colloquial way, in the sense that we don't, you know, what is green and what is logistics. But I think if you break down that and we try and sort of say, well, what is the sustainable way of delivering goods? What are the different methods that we have available to us? What are the innovations that we need to actually put in place? Then I think we could actually find that green is, well, as good a word as any. Just a simple quote from the Ellen MacArthur 2014 report. And it was very interesting in that it said that if we were able to initiate some of the things that the the circular economy agenda is proposing, then the effective value of that in the next 10 years could be 780 billion euros. Now, that's a lot of money. Now, we can't attribute all of that to the logistics piece of it, but certainly logistics carries a tremendous amount of the value that's created through innovation and new ways of thinking. And when people talk about the project later on, and when we get to the end of the day, I think you'll find that some of the things that we've done, even in the smallest scales, are so replicable and that they have tremendous value. And there are other people that I've met this morning in the congregation, it's not really a congregation, but in the audience, that I think, you know, all of these little pieces of the jigsaw are really, really important in actually making this overall agenda work. So what do we normally do? We have a tremendous amount of chaos. The chaos exists in all cities, not just across Europe, but across the world. And I think the issue is, how do we actually manage that chaos, and how can we actually make it beneficial for us? And I think you'll see a little bit later on that that is absolutely possible, and that some of the innovation and some of the ingenious ideas that people have had actually work really well towards that. So what do we need to do? Well, we still probably need to do the same things. People still need to eat and drink and clothe themselves. They still want deliveries of their parcels, and they want all of those things that we always want. But I think we need to do it in a different way. And I think, again, just in the basis of what we've done at LaMiLo, you'll see that just from a last mile logistics point of view, there is that potential, there is the ability to do these things differently, and that there is a tremendous advantage, not just across the sustainability agenda, but from lots of different agendas. And as the day passes, you'll see why that is. And I think as we go forward, clearly the whole of this thing will feed into the smart cities agenda, how we digitize our cities, how do we connect thinking within those cities, how do the strategists and the policy makers actually create the basis for what we want to do. And we've had lots of interesting conversations during this project about how local government need to take up some of that initiative, and we'll talk about that later on. So some of the actions that LaMiLo has engineered, and some of the things that some of the very clever people put together. So we talked about how we need to benchmark and look at existing best practice, which will help us to create the new best practice, because this is what it's about. We have created, out of the 4 pilots, I think, new best practice. And it's unusual, I will say, for an EU-funded type project where all the 4 pilots have a genuine business viability to them now. And I think that the LaMiLo funding has helped with that business viability. I wouldn't say it's been the entire cause of it, because there's some very clever people in the audience, but I think the LaMiLo funding has definitely helped with the business viability. Establishing indicators, behavior change is a significant thing, not just of the people that order things, but of the people that deliver these, of the people that want these goods to be delivered to their customers as well. Influencing procurers, that's a big piece of the agenda. The buying power that people have in some organizations is absolutely tremendous. So there were 8 of those things, and I think what it really comes down to at the end of the day is evaluation is fine. It's relative to what you're evaluating, but I think sharing the knowledge and sharing the ability to be able to replicate what we've done through LaMiLo in a small piecemeal basis and building that jigsaw is really, really important. And we hope that when you guys go home today, that you take a little bit of that knowledge and maybe you can apply even a small percentage of what you've heard today or what you will hear today. And if you can apply those to your own areas of business or your areas of interest, then I think that's what the intention of today is. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I was going to, and Tara's going to say to me, I haven't done it. Sorry. I was going to introduce the video.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, so it's, sorry, I should have done that. And she was sort of sitting thinking, you haven't done this. Okay, so one of the outputs for LaMiLo was to actually create a video. And I'm very happy to say that the video hopefully will work and it will come up. And Tara's smiling at the back. I think they've already got it going. But yeah, it will give you a very interesting overview of what the project is and some of the things that we've done with it. Thank you.
Beautiful video that gives you a very good idea, I think, of what the project is. But before starting with the actual panel discussions and the sessions, it is perhaps interesting to find out just a little bit more about the pilots that have been worked on during the LaMiLo project. They will each be presented in a very short presentation of 2 minutes. So for that, I would like to invite Michael Darchambeau for Greening from Paris. After him, Max Prudon, co-founder of Eco2City from the Netherlands, will say something about this pilot. Christophe de Voghel from Brussels, a project officer with Bruxelles Mobilité, and from the Borough of Camden, head of procurement Kevin Churchill, unless he's not here yet, because we all know that there have been some problems with the Eurostar. The tunnel was closed yesterday, so he had to come in this morning. And if he's not here in time, Lali Virdee will fill in for him. Go ahead.
My name is Michael Darchambeau. I am the co-founder of the Green Link, funded 5 years ago. I entered the project LaMiLo 2 years ago. So I wanted to demonstrate that the freight can be more efficient in the city by using cargo bike and electric vehicles. So we decided to enter the LaMiLo project in order to test the efficiency of using an information system, being able to organize the chaos that Lali were talking about at the entrance of the city, and then being able to consolidate the parcels in 2 depots in Paris that we have. So the freight are coming outside of Paris, are coming in our depot, from where we are organizing rounds, and we are affecting the rounds, so the parcels, to drivers. So the drivers will have to follow an itinerary with the exact delivery stops that has to be done to be sure that we have enough density and we can be profitable. We have to enter some parameters in the systems that will calculate the more efficient route. So thanks to LaMiLo, we are now, we started to test this system, and the next step will be to scale up in other cities.
Good morning, my name is Max Prudon from Eco2City. For us, green logistics is about consolidation. In the past, we've established a business-to-business solution through Binnenstad Service, and through LaMiLo, we have been developing this solution towards business-to-consumer solutions as well. As we all know, internet sales and package supplies to consumers is increasing every year again, and this ends up in a little mess, not only in the city centers, what we already know, what we are working on within this project as well, but also in the residential areas. And there we establish a solution where consumers make another choice of the way they are delivered, but also the suppliers, the shippers, have to change with that towards a solution where the distribution in the residential areas is more sustainable. To achieve that, you basically need a hub. For business to business, that hub is already there, so we build on top of that. And what you require is basically a XXX cross-dock center, where the physical cross-docking takes place, where the information cross-docking takes place, as Michael mentioned, is very important. But also the financial cross-docking has to be taken care of. All the benefits, all the costs have to be in balance for all players, for all stakeholders. And that's a search to make that happen. LaMiLo enabled us to make a start with that. And from there on, we will grow the next years. It will be a pilot that will remain and exist also after the LaMiLo period, and I think that's a very important achievement of this project as well.
Thank you. So for Brussels, I think all the people from Brussels in the room can tell you that we have been speaking about urban consolidation centers in Brussels for the last 15 years, I think. But 2 years ago, there was still nothing on the field. So we decided it was time to go. And we also knew that we had to rely on private sector to come with a solution. So we made a procurement very simple, very quickly. It was a call for expression of interest for people having already a project in Brussels and already a business case, and we wanted to work with them. So we had 3 tenders, which was very, very good. And we choose from them City Depot and Trivisor. But the other two has started also their activities, so it was very, very good. So we were starting for a 6-month trial in Brussels between 15 September last year and 15 March this year. And during this 6 months, we had, well, at the very beginning, it was only 3 transporters committed into the urban consolidation centers, but at the end, there were already 7. So they are interested in giving their flows to the urban consolidation centers because delivering in Brussels is getting more and more difficult. So it was very good for them, and they were not too difficult to convince. But we wanted also, as I said in the video, that we wanted to convince the shopkeepers to also give their flows to the consolidation center. And it was much more difficult because they are very difficult to convince. But we are working on it, and it's getting better. So the 6-month trial was very a success. We had growing flows all the month. Every week it was bigger and bigger. And you will see in the evaluation workshop, I think it's the 3rd workshop here, that we managed to save distances, CO2 emission, PM emissions, and the business is successful as well because now City Depot is continuing its activities. So it's very, very interesting. And also we managed to have a very good media coverage. And that was easier for us to raise awareness in the public, but also for the public sector, administration, and so on in Brussels. And so we had a very, very strong support, and it was very incredible. So I think we got a good example of partnership between private and public, because we designed this together. The private is operating, the public is communicating and getting people together, and yeah, it's a success. And I've seen Nigel in the stairs, so I don't know.
I'll just do it anyway, no problem, by the time he comes in. Okay, so this next one, the London Borough of Camden solution, was based on taking a business-to-business approach, but on the facilities of how a local authority manages its ordering and distribution. So originally, they used to have a number of suppliers who were supplying to a large number of buildings within the London Borough of Camden. And the idea was, how can we stop all of these people, making dozens and dozens of daily deliveries to these large number of buildings, and actually consolidate that and actually show that there is business viability. So Camden were very lucky to find a little bit of consolidation space in a distribution center, where they made all of these people come, bring their goods, and as you saw in the video, reconsolidated them so that they could then transport these goods back into those same offices, but in much more environmentally friendly vehicles. So they've got Euro 5, Euro 6 vehicles. They also had the loan of a electric vehicle as well for a while. So in all, to try and show how this can be done. And it's been so successful that Camden have also managed to bring together 2 more local authorities, and a 3rd one is on its way, and they're all going to use the same consolidation centre. So suddenly, from what used to be several hundred deliveries across a month, to just one borough, have become very much smaller number of deliveries, much more targeted, much more concentrated. And that same principle is going to now follow into other boroughs locally as well. And I think the other very interesting thing, and other people will talk about this later, is that in itself, one of the consequences of it has been that there has been a behavior change of the people ordering things. So rather than them ordering 10 pencils every day, Monday to Friday, they've suddenly realized maybe this isn't the right way of doing things, and they're now ordering 50 pencils on a Monday to be delivered once to one office. And I think that's just a simple example, but that is, in effect, what has actually happened. And that's why the business centre is going to continue, and the business viability of that consolidation centre is really well established now.
Thank you.